Let's hear what the Botswana Minister of Sports and Arts has in store for NDP 12. A vision centred on economic diversification, growth and creating jobs for Botswana.
I shall now call upon the Minister of Sport and Arts to present. Honourable Minister, you have 30 minutes to present.
Mr. Speaker, I'm honoured to present the sport and creative industry sector proposed priorities for 12th National Development Plan and the indicator framework for the performance and monitoring evaluation. In its quest to diversify economy, Botswana is making a deliberate effort to invest in sectors which show potential for economic growth and job creation. Globally, these industries, sport and creatives, are recognized as having potential to contribute significantly to economic growth, and in developing countries, the sector is reported to contribute between 0.5% to 7.3% to the gross domestic product and employs 0.5% and 12% of the workforce. Although the sector's contribution to the GDP in Botswana has been marginal, averaging less than 1% per annum, the sector registered growth of 4.3% in 2023, up from 3.3% in 2022. It is anticipated that the sector will maintain a strong growth above 5.46% during the NDP 12 period. Growth in this sector will be supported by the increased investment in infrastructure for sport development and the creative arts, as well as creating enabling legislation and policies. Mr. Speaker, the creative industries preserve Botswana's cultural identity, enables intergenerational knowledge transfer, promote national pride and identity, as well as social cohesion. The industry holds significant potential for economic growth, job creation, and the preservation of Botswana's rich cultural heritage. It plays a significant role in Botswana's economy, contributing approximately 5.6% to the GDP. This industry encompasses many activities and events, including arts, cultural goods and services, entertainment, marketing, and creative tourism, which have increasingly recognized for their economic stimulation and impact on both direct and indirect job creation. Currently, the creative industry in Botswana largely operates informally, yet it provides employment opportunities for many of our people. Therefore, its deliberate inclusion in NDP 12 serves to formalize the industry and demonstrate government's commitment to unlocking its potential for exponential growth. The sports industry, on the other hand, has made positive strides as evidenced by our performance in the international stage. Just recently, our athletes set African continent record and improved personal best in both 400 meters and 4x400 meter relay men's finals. Our Paralympics team also made all of us proud at the World Para-Athletics Championships. The incentives provided to the athletes, including financial support and other resources, will serve as a catalyst for further growth. We are also doing well in other sporting codes such as swimming, tennis, judo, among others. Mr. Speaker, Botswana is widely recognized for a rich talent in both sport and arts, with art icons such as Ross Branch, Litsile Teboho, Bosemo Kwati, Amantle Monso, Moreitsi Gabang, Donald Mulusi, Mposi Bina, Kaone Kario, Lesego Chombo, Lerato Mutwara Kole, and many others gaining international recognition. The country also has a rich and diverse cultural heritage which remains mostly untapped. It is for this reason that the government has identified the culture and creative industry as key drivers of economic growth, cultural preservation, and social transformation. The Ministry of Sport and Arts was established specifically to support this mandate. Furthermore, policies, legal frameworks, and legislative measures are being updated to support the sector growth. These efforts contribute positioning Botswana as a hub for MICE, bringing associated benefit to the country, such as international co-production, cinema screen access to local films, content exportation, promotion and preservation of Botswana culture and heritage film productions. Mr. Speaker, Botswana has also begun to position itself as a premier destination for hosting sporting events. I'm proud to inform you that Botswana will host the World Athletics Relay 2026 in Gaborone. This is a major milestone, demonstrating our capacity to stage international sporting competition and leverage sport as a driver of tourism. The challenges experienced during the Transitional Development Plan. Mr. Speaker, the sport and creative sectors remain underdeveloped due to lack of comprehensive policy framework that support local content, underinvestment, suboptimal infrastructure development, and appropriate technology. A number of cross-cutting challenges in the sector, which include regulatory framework, inadequate funding, monitoring and evaluation, and the reporting system stifle the growth of the sector, resulting in inaccurate reporting, especially its contribution to the gross domestic product. The reporting system is not standardized across agencies, and the value chain contribution has remained unaccounted for. Botswana's current legislation and policy framework for sport, arts, and culture is also limited and outdated, failing to address the evolving needs of sport, cultural, and creative industries. Mr. Speaker, despite the overall improvement in sport performance, there has been noticeable decline in representation of women, particularly in the elite competition, as recently witnessed at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games and also the World Athletic Championship. Substance abuse and prolonged suspension of school sport, which hampers talent discovery, have been identified as contributing factors in the performance of the sector. Strategies going forward. Mr. Speaker, the true north of sport and creative industries is Botswana will be a global hub for sport, culture, and creative industries, where talent thrives for individual and sustainable economic prosperity. For this to be achieved, emphasis will be placed on sector sustainability, stakeholder partnership, cultural heritage, creative industries, and sport tourism. In order to propel the growth of sport and creative industries sector, the following cross-cutting strategies are proposed going forward into the NDP 12. Develop and review policy legal framework. These include governance instruments, regulation and enabling legal frameworks for private sector participation, athlete welfare development policy, sport funding guidelines, sport education accreditation system, and sport integrity instruments. The policy and institutional framework will be strengthened to boost regulation and innovation in the creative and cultural industry in Botswana. Some of the key legislative development include cinematography bill that will modernize the film industry regulation, setting clear standards for production, distribution, and exhibition. Performance protection bill to safeguard performance rights, ensuring fair compensation and protection against unauthorized use of their work, as well as cultural and creative industries policy to focus on contemporary global standards to stimulate local content use, increase creator sector employment, promote economic diversification. And the expected outcomes are increased local content production across various media platforms, higher job creation within the creative sector, and enhanced economic resilience and diversification. Infrastructure maintenance and development. Investment in infrastructure and provision of equipment tailored to the needs of the creative industry will foster growth for high-quality creative content production. Cultural infrastructure development and access to creative goods, products, services need to be expanded and modernized. And this includes theaters, galleries, studios, rural hubs to decentralize opportunities across communities and at grassroots level. Furthermore, production facilities and recording infrastructure will be supported to raise domestic product quality. Some of key infrastructure projects entailed in this plan include the construction of the multi-purpose indoor sports complex, construction of a state theater, construction of a new 40-seater stadium, digitalization of national art collection, construction of community sports stadium, construction of outdoor recreational centers throughout the country, including remote areas. And lastly, construction of a national horse race course. Mr. Speaker, refurbishment of sport facilities is critical to support sport development programs and initiatives. During the NDP 12, focus will be on refurbishing the existing sporting infrastructure and developing community-based facilities for optimal use and for grassroots development to thrive. The athletics-specific track facility and the horse race track as a new product in Botswana will be developed to diversify the sport product and promote both international and domestic tourism. Promotion of collaborations and partnership. Advocate for long-term partnership with the private sector to invest in sport development rather than interim pledges. The government will facilitate tax rebates against investment in the development of sport to form partnership with the private sector. The government will also make use of the international partners on bilateral agreements to foster development of sport in the country. Mr. Speaker, fostering partnership and co-production is essential for expanding market reach. As such, collaboration with different institutions, inclusive of UNESCO framework, will help to upskill for policy and professional standards. The strengthening of vocational training and entrepreneurship readiness via bodies like the Ministry of Trade and Entrepreneurship, the Local Enterprise Authority, CEDAS, and others will go a long way in addressing the skill gap in the creative sector. The partnership will be on the public-private partnerships to work with the private sector to develop facilities and resources for the arts, international co-production, to encourage global co-production to showcase Botswana's landscapes and culture. Joint youth program to engage young creatives and equip them with cultural expression and entrepreneurship skills. Mr. Speaker, allow me to elaborate on specific strategies earmarked for 2 industries during the NDP 12. Sporting industry, promotion of sport excellence. This will entail promoting mass participation in sport and recreation activities, full-scale reintroduction of school sport to conduct systematic talent identification and nurturing, investing in domestic leagues and tournaments, establishing district sport structures and high-performance centers, hosting school holiday sport camps, reviewing and resource centers of sport excellence, undertaking capacity building of coaches and other officials, increasing participation at continental and international competitions, utilizing accredited sports science service providers, and developing inclusive sport programs and investing in sport academy. Strengthening the sporting industry, establishing the value of sport contribution to the economy by developing state-of-art sporting infrastructure, implementing sport science approaches, as well as conduct research in the area of sport, bid for hosting high-level international competitions, and promoting local-based community sport tourism events, sport marketing and events. Develop a beneficiation guideline for manufacturing of Botswana's owned branded sport apparel and equipment, as well as develop sport value chains. Gender mainstreaming in sport. Address barriers to participation that affect women and girls, including cultural and economic infrastructural challenges. Enhance the visibility and recognition of female athletes, coaches, and administrators. Develop gender-responsive policies and programs that foster an inclusive sporting environment. Sport funding. Establishment of sport fund for alternative funding of sport development at grassroots and national level competition through sport betting and sport lottery financing and other financial sectors. Youth and recreation centers. The government will equip and develop inclusive, environmentally friendly youth recreation centers for physical activities, operating spaces to promote social empowerment and healthy well-being, and reduce non-communicable diseases, illicit substance abuse. Research. Sport-related activities, for example, hosting of international sporting events, manufacturing and sale of sports apparel, sport betting, sport tourism, represent a significant portion of the economy of the country. These activities have been taking place ever since the birth and revolution of sport in Botswana, without necessarily quantifying its accurate contribution to the GDP. Therefore, a satellite sport account will be established to provide valid data on the contribution of sport in the economy, presented in terms of consumer spending, broadcasting, gross value add, and employment figures. This will enable decision-making for policy direction and formulation going forward. Promote sport tourism-driven activities. Develop and promote sport-related programs and infrastructure, which is essential for putting the country in a better position to bid and host sanctioned sport events. A national hosting strategy will be developed to support sport tourism. Facilitate acquisition and zoning of land for sport. Facilitate acquisition of serviced land and develop master plan for potentially viable sporting infrastructure project earmarked for private sector investment. The BNSC master plan. Creative industry. Mr. Speaker, Botswana's creative industry is evolving into a critical driver of economic diversification and sustainable development. It supports inclusive growth, youth employment, cultural preservation, and global soft power. These strategies proposed to the industry include promoting and preserving arts, culture, and heritage, focusing on professionalization and commercialization. This is crucial for increasing the sector's contribution to the GDP and creating job opportunities for Botswana. The key priorities or key priority areas encompass policy development, capacity building, and education, providing appropriate apparatus, establishing purpose-built facilities, fostering economic participation, and promoting content creation for sustainable heritage. This comprehensive approach seeks to create a supportive environment that actively empowers Botswana to commercialize, preserve, and celebrate their cultural heritage. Streaming platforms to enable artists to reach global audience. Local fashion and film are gaining traction on the international stage, contributing to Botswana's cultural diplomacy. Establishing a film commission. A dedicated film commission will play a crucial role in developing a culture of filmmaking in Botswana and regulating the film and television industry, while promoting Botswana as a preferred film destination. The Commission's responsibilities include regulating the film and TV industry, marketing Botswana as a film destination, promoting film tourism, facilitating co-production and partnerships, supporting incentive programs, financial incentives and tax relief. To attract investment in the creative sector, various financial incentives and tax measures should be adopted. These are cash rebates, tax credits, and exemptions. Establish a grant program under the Botswana National Creative Art and Film Fund to support large-scale cultural and media projects. Launch a National Creative Arts and Film Fund to finance major projects. Leverage the national funds of funds and private partnership for scalable financing. Capacity building and education. Building a skilled workforce is vital for sustainable growth in the creative sector. Skills development and education can be attained through integrating arts education into schools and universities, offer scholarships, mentorship, and internship to grow talent. This will be achieved through educational partnership, that is, working with institutions and schools to offer specialized programs in creative discipline, digital media, and cultural management. Talent development programs such as mentorship, scholarship, and incubators for emerging artists will support youth talent development. Social media monetization. As the country focuses on the diversification of the economy via other platforms and resources, enhance digital access and distribution of cultural goods and services through partnership with global platforms such as Google, Meta, TikTok, and others for content monetization is very vital. The following strategies are recommended to attract social media monetization for Botswana's creatives. Establish partnership with social media platforms, digital content creation, and monetization training, online payment integration, create a Botswana digital content hub, embracing innovation and technology. Leveraging on technology will expand the reach and the impact of the industry. This will be achieved through technology integration in arts and media by supporting the use of digital platforms to promote and sell creative works, offering training in digital marketing and content creation, intellectual property and regulation, strengthening the intellectual property protection and enforcement through COSBOT, SIPA, and dedicated legislation. This will enhance recognition and branding of Botswana's innovations, creation, ownership, positioning Botswana on the global stage. Stronger IP systems will also generate revenue for creators through licensing and sales, foster brand identity, and add value to businesses through patents and trademarks. Key activities will include enhancing law and institutions in line with international treaties, improving enforcement against piracy, counterfeiting, and online infringements, supporting commercialization through licensing, royalties, trademark, patent, and geographical indications. Indicator framework. The strategic objective of the sector during the NDP 12 are sector sustainability, stakeholder partnership, and cultural heritage, creative industry, and sport tourism. Achievement of the sector's true north is premised on the timely achievement of annual and quality targets that ultimately result in good service delivery. The total estimated cost earmarked for NDP 12 for sport and creative sector programs and project is 6,653,600,000 pula, covering both new and ongoing projects. The key performance indicators, Mr. Speaker, the key performance indicators have been crafted to guide the performance monitoring during implementation of the plan. These are creative, arts and sport value-added growth rate, growth in non-government sector financing from 0.4 to 15% by 2030, job creation from 8,300 to 33,550 by 2030, growth in global footprint from 1% to 30% by 2030. Mr. Speaker, through this national development plan, we are building a Botswana that will be a global hub for sport, culture, and creative industries, a place where talent thrives for individual and sustainable economic prosperity. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Honourable members. Honourable members. The question is that the sports and creative arts sector be approved.